The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And away we grow. Hey there, and welcome all you beautiful gardeners out there. So glad you could make it. Hope you had a great week. Welcome to the show. This is the show for all the people out there who just love flowers and plants, like myself. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Jordan, plant lover extraordinaire. Back in studio for another great episode. I got Austin, the audio engineer, who is an ace.
The ace of audio.
The ace
That's what
of audio.
you normally call me.
There we go.
Thank you for the intro, and welcome back to all of our listeners. It's Garden Podcast time, the best time of the week. And you know what else is going on, Kevin? It's October, and I'm feeling the spooky season.
Oh, yeah. Boo.
Do you like Halloween?
Oh, dude, it got ghost peppers out of my ears, bud. No, I love Halloween. I love the season. It's just fun. It's just good times. I think it's one of the best holidays because there's low effort, low stress. No, not a lot of pressure. Just go have fun. It's for the kids. It's
all about having fun.
It's for kids and single people. I think it's really that's what it's all about. But my son is just fired up to dress up.
What's he going to be this year?
I don't know yet. He keeps changing. Last year he was a pirate, and then now he keeps mixing around from
nice.
What is it? He wants to be a firefighter or something else or a ninja. We don't know yet. But for me, it's awesome time of the year. We've been out in the garden a little bit at the school. I wanted to tell you. Perfect timing. We talk about how fall is for planting. I kept saying that to my students. I'm going over the list. They kind of get a lot of what we get here on the pod, but it's like I force feed it to them.
Sure.
And we have a pollinator garden, and I was like, man, this is perfect time of the year. We wanted to spruce it up just a little bit, so we planted some things right before the rains. Perfect. So we got some evolvulus. You ever seen this, Austin?
No. What?
They call it like a dwarf morning glory, and it's not like it doesn't spread. It's not invasive quite like a normal morning glory vine. It's a low growing, drought-tolerant plant. Just has these blue little bell-shaped flowers, really pretty, kind of like a silvery colored leaf. Beautiful, low grower, drought-tolerant. Pollinators love it. Boom, threw them in. They're already looking good. The rain came. Another one we planted, of course, lantana. Butterflies love it.
Lantana.
We got some of that yellow lantana.
Which color?
Yellow.
Okay.
Although I love them all. The purple, the Montibet. There's so many that are cool. Even the one that's hybrid where it has like a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange, a little bit of red. Those ones kind of catch my eye. But we did the yellow ones because I just love, that was gonna be my tip of the week. Plant more yellow flowers.
Okay.
The reason? It just makes me happy.
Oh, okay. That's reason enough.
I just love them. But yeah, we planted some of that. And one that I really liked that we didn't have in the garden, Gomphrena. Have you seen
I've never heard of that.
Gomphrena? I hope I'm saying that correctly. Sometimes called globe amaranth. But it's a beautiful little plant with these pink little pom-pom flowers. They're kind of like dry and papery. It was one of those things where I love doing this, where we have a pollinator garden. You're putting plants in there for the bees, the butterflies, the birds. We planted it. We moved on to another plant. And I'm like, look, kids, I point back to the one they just planted. There's already little bees and pollinators just going straight to it. Already. I mean, within moments of us planting it, beautiful little plant. Once it gets established, drought tolerant. And of course, we threw in a couple little blue fescues to kind of, soften the edges around some of the rocks that we have and just contrast with that silvery blue leaf. So much fun. But the point of that is a week after that, rains came. They're looking good. It kind of proved my point to my students. I'm like, look, this is perfect timing. And so things are looking good out in the garden.
Oh, that's exciting. Wow. It's so cool to hear that you were refreshing your pollinator garden.
Yes.
And we're feeling the fall vibes. And what I've learned is that fall is the critical time to plant native wildflowers, native and other native shrubs, whatever native thing. They like to be planted in the fall.
Absolutely.
And what better person to talk to about native things than Dr. Julia Michaels from Hedgerow Farms, our guest this week.
She's an amazing guest. We love spending time with her. She's brilliant. She's so smart, very kind person. I mean, just nice to be around, but brilliantly smart and super passionate about what she's doing. She's got her PhD. She's a restoration ecologist. I just love that. And she works out there at Hedgerow Farms, and it's a beautiful place. We got to visit in person. I mean, just row after row. I mean, acres and acres of these beautifully groomed, well cared for native flowers and plants and grasses. And their whole deal is just let's produce as much native seed as we can and then get it out there. And originally it was all for, big agencies that are trying to do reforestation and, ecological, restorations. We love all that. But now they're doing stuff a little different. And now some of those seeds are now available to us plebs out in the public. I can get my hands on some of those seeds now. And so it's rad. So we got to sit down with her, learn a bunch. And so this is an amazing time to learn about those seeds because like you mentioned, Austin, now is the time to actually, if you want beautiful native wildflowers in spring, they have to get sown right now.
Yep, exactly. And we got to catch up with Dr. Julia to learn all about it. We met up with her at the Green Acres Nursery and Supply in Elk Grove. Actually, it's the first time we've interviewed somebody who's had a baby with them during the interview. So that was a fun challenge.
That was awesome.
Thankfully, everything was fine. It was perfectly okay. And it was really nice to get to meet her baby. So let's go ahead and jump into that interview now. Here we go.
So my name is Julia Michaels, and I'm a restoration ecologist, and I work at Hedgerow Farms, and we are a local farm that grows wildflowers and grasses for restoration projects. We have 300 acres, and we grow all kinds of California natives, so poppies, lupins, purple needlegrass, which is our state grass, anything that grows wild in the hills around the Sacramento area. We go out and collect it, and we grow it at our farm to make more seed.
Why are native plants important? Why do we need restoration ecologists, and why should we all be planting as many native plants as we possibly can?
Certainly. I mean, from an environmental perspective, native plants, help the ecosystem. They're the basis of all of the other fauna that rely on them. So everything from the insects that pollinate them to the birds that eat their seeds and eat those insects, the cover they provide for wildlife. There's also just an enormous amount of biodiversity that we want to just keep existing. And then one way is just to plant them in our gardens. But then from a gardener's perspective, they're easier to grow because they're adapted to where we live, to soil, to the climate, which is can be kind of unpredictable. They tend to be hardier because they've been around for a while. They know what extremes they're going to experience, and they can handle it. So less water, less fertilizer, easier to grow, beautiful, and will attract some really cool wildlife to your garden.
Check. I'm on board. I love that. What are some of the best natives for our area and our climate, and what's the benefits of getting seed locally, regionally, that are suited to our needs?
Sure, yeah. So some are specialized for, the Sacramento Valley, like the woolly rose mallow, the hibiscus that we sell at Green Acres, that is actually endemic to the Sacramento Valley. So it only grows here.
So cool.
And so, the conditions are such that this is the perfect place for it to grow. If you were to try and grow that plant down in, LA in the desert, it wouldn't do so well. It needs the clay, it needs clay soil that we have, it needs the sort of, influence of the delta, et cetera. So, it's cool to see how regional you can get your garden. Some people are, they'll take anything that's a California native, and some people will only plant Sacramento Valley natives. And I think it's fun to challenge yourself to see, how local can you get.
Very cool. I love that. We know that you guys have been collaborating. I think last time we talked, we were hoping that, one day maybe Green Acres Nursery may carry some of your seeds and packets for all of us folks, us normal gardeners. And since then, your seeds are now in the stores.
Yeah.
So what's that journey been like, and how did we get there? Were there any hurdles to overcome, and what was that like?
Yes, well, it's so wild to think about that the last time we talked, we were just dreaming up this possibility. And, it's been a journey because we as a farm generally sell large amounts of seed. We sell big, truckloads of seed for restoration projects. So after a big fire, or after a flood or something like that, we're selling it to government agencies. But after we talked, I thought about the importance of trying to get this seed out to local gardeners in quantities that make sense, right? Not just 10 pounds, but small packets. So we went ahead and we got some packets printed, and we carefully selected about 20 different species and mixes, and then we packed them. And our packing machine at one point broke, and then we were hand packing them for a little while.
Wow.
So some of your customers probably bought seed packets that I packed in my living room while watching, some bad TV.
That's impressive. That is dedication, Julia.
But now we have gotten ourselves to the point where we have a wonderful package company that's helping us with all of that. So we send a big bag of seed to them. They divvy it up into small packets and send it back to you.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've seen them in the stores, and when they first put them up, I love the rack, the pictures, and their seed packets were really beautiful, but they went like that. I think there's a huge thirst from gardeners and growers to get their hands on natives. I see it a lot in the online forums where people they want to get their hands on natives. A lot of times nurseries, they want to sell them, but they're only so much available, and they're seasonal. So to get your hands on seeds, I think there's this, like I said, a big thirst for it. Have you noticed that?
I have, yeah. And I think when our seed packets first hit the stores, I noticed on all the online forums, people discovering it. It was really fun to watch, the hype build. And then there were some people who actually got really excited about purchasing the seed packets and giving them out for trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
So you could get your candy and your seed packets. And then I saw some people giving them to their partners for Valentine's Day and things like that. It was really sweet to watch how people were using those packets as ways to be more than just a gift, because it's a gift that keeps giving, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was so cool to see. You've made a bunch, so you have 20 plus different seeds and seed mixes. Can you give us an example of a few of some of your favorites?
Yeah, so the main seed mix that we're offering with Green Acres is the Central Valley Pollinator Mix.
Oh, that sounds good.
And I'm really excited about that one because it's a collaboration between Hedgerow Farms and the Xerxes Society. And Xerxes is a nonprofit that is 100% dedicated to conserving pollinators. So everything from the endangered monarch butterfly, or soon to be listed endangered monarch butterfly, to the smaller, more underappreciated native bees that burrow in the soil, and they're there to speak for them. And so what they actually did was, over several years of testing, they planted different plots, different mixes of pollinator species, and then counted how many pollinators came to them. And they came up with the best blend to attract the most pollinators for the entire year. So not just in the spring, but in the summer and the fall as well.
Oh, so it covers
It's a year-round mix, yeah. And so
I love that.
They came up with the formula and then set us on the project of growing and making it available. And so it's been a dream for both us and for Xerxes to have this out in the world.
What are some of the organisms? Are there some specifics that really ring out to you? If you're like, man, this is a plant that brings these insects, these birds in, but what are some of those organisms that we're really going to benefit?
Yeah, so we have many hundreds of species of native solitary bees. So not just the honeybee that you think of when you think of a bee, but actually we have all of these different varieties of little tiny ones to larger. You've probably seen a carpenter bee before. Those those kind of big black buzzy ones.
The fatties.
Yeah, the
They're
fatties,
big.
exactly. To the shiny, green, shiny little ones. They're all just incredible pollinators, and some of them are specialists, which means that they only will visit native plants. And if they don't have those native plants, they won't have the pollen and the nectar resources that they need. Another thing is bumblebees. So we have native bumblebees, and we actually have an endangered bumblebee in our area, the Crotches bumblebee. Not the best name in the world, but...
Not where you want to get stung, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to remember it. Although bumblebees, if you are a person who likes to try and catch bees, male bumblebees don't sting, so you can pick up a bumblebee with your bare hands, which is kind of cool.
There we go. Dudes are chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Females will, though, so you have to pay attention.
Is there a way you can tell them apart?
Yeah, every male and female bumblebee have different coloration patterns. So
Very cool. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard in California how when you drive from here, from Sacramento towards the bay, you'll see the hills there, and past Vacaville and all that. And I had a professor say, those used to be covered in different plants, and now they're kind of covered in invasive exotics and a lot of star thistle and things that just got brought over, attached to like the fur of hoofed animals
and intentionally planted. So the Spanish in the 1700s brought over a lot of their livestock, and to feed them, they actually would spread on purpose oats and barley, and that's actually what we have in our hills, like wild oats and barley, and some of our other invasives were agricultural varietals that have escaped and become invasive. And that's June. She's complaining about the invasive species too.
You grow a lot of sprouts, but she seems to be the best one so far.
Aw, thank you.
Well, that is so cool. So is there a way that we can, over time, are we going to replenish and kind of replace some of these invasive plants and hopefully restore some of these habitats?
We're definitely working on it. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, and a lot of people are doing it. They're trying really hard to figure out what we need to do to maintain I think more than restoring, it's also just protecting the areas that we have that currently are still hosting a lot of native plants. So, restoring it's like if you break a vase and you try and glue it back together again, it can be pretty tough. You can do it, but it's a lot of work. But it's better to keep the areas that are wild while we can. So.
Cool. Are there some areas that you travel to and visit here in California where you're like, this is a beautiful example of some native plants out in the wild?
Yes.
Where is that, and can we go?
Yeah, Stebbins Cold Canyon. Have you ever heard of that?
I've not been there.
Okay, well, have you heard of the Berryessa Dam?
Yeah, that's not too far from you guys.
Yeah, so it's right. It's pretty close to our farm. You can combine that hike with a visit to our farm on a Sunday. It's a gorgeous area, and it has a huge diversity of native plants growing in it. And it's had fire quite a few times, and that is actually a natural part of the ecosystem. So the fire has been able to regenerate and sort of allow some of those wildflowers that are fire followers to come back and bloom. So this time of year, things are starting to sprout, because a lot of them are sorry, let me take that back. This time of year, things are dormant, but as soon as the rains start to hit, things will begin to sprout, and then in the early spring, it's a fantastic time to visit Stebbins Cold Canyon.
Love it. Well, let's get into it. I want to get into like the best practices. What are the best practices for actually utilizing your seed packets?
Sure. So, I would say the first thing you can do is when you get the seed packet, there's a QR code on the back. So you can scan that, and there's a bunch of information about the individual species. So depending on the species, you can either grow it in a pot, or it'll grow best just sort of scattered straight into your garden. There's species like yarrow. They do really well in pots. So you could just take the seed, you could have your students plant them and then, give it away. Or you could do ones like lupin that do much better when you kind of just throw them out into the soil and let them, they have a deep, deep taproot. And that's one of the reasons why they're much better if you don't plant, like a carrot, it's kind of hard to transplant a carrot.
Oh, yeah,
right?
You know it.
So it's the same thing. It's like a big, deep root.
So they prefer to be direct seeded.
Yeah, if you disturb it, it's going to kind of mess it up. So lupin is one that you want to direct seed.
And you guys have some rad lupin. Mm-hmm. I remember going out there and seeing one that had like fat, watery, plump little stems.
Yeah.
It looked so like a succulent.
Yeah,
so
the succulent lupin is exactly what it's called.
So beautiful.
Yeah, we have 3 varieties, I think, in the packets. One is the succulent purple lupin. Then we have the yellow lupin, which is also called chick lupin or Ed Gedling's, and that's just gorgeous, gorgeous. And then we have a miniature lupin, which is just a couple inches tall, and that's a great one if you don't have a lot of space in your garden. It's great for
little border plant.
Border plants, exactly, yes. And I have a friend who's a landscape architect, and we talk a lot about ways that you could have natives in your garden without worrying about that sort of wild messiness, right? Some people are just not ready for that, right? And her name is Haven Kers, and she's a professor at UC Davis, and her whole her whole thing is messy plants, orderly frames. So if you're going to just throw a mix of plants out, right? You don't know exactly which species is going to take where, right? But if you create like a nice border, and then you plant your wildflower mix in there. Even if it gets a little, wild looking, having a neat sort of either a border made from like lawn edging or, blocks or bricks, that can show everyone, oh no, this is the area I've chosen to be, wild.
Yeah.
And so that sort of...
They just spill over a little bit and they kind of soften the edges of the rocks.
But it tells people, this is on purpose and this is my little wildflower area. And I think that tends to be more successful visually than just kind of going out into your landscape and spreading things willy-nilly, because, you just don't have that control that people are a lot more used to seeing in landscaping.
I love that. So you kind of like marry the wild aspect with some kind of kept nature.
Yeah, it's one strategy. I think in other areas, people are totally fine with, the wild and free.
Let it grow.
Yeah, exactly. So like right now, I live in Curtis Park in Sacramento, and, there are some very manicured lawns. In fact, my neighbor across the street I really like him. He has the greenest, most perfect lawn in the world. And so I don't want to do what I normally do, which is just create a chaos garden, right? I want to do it really intentionally because I respect that he put a lot of work into that, and he probably wants to look at something a little more orderly too every day across the street. So I put in some little edging borders along the sort of strips of my sidewalk, and then I spread that wildflower mix. And so when it comes up, he'll be able to be like, okay, this is on purpose.
This is intentional.
This isn't just a weed, and then he's going to get a pop of color pretty much all through summer and spring and summer. So, I think he'll be really happy to see that.
Who wouldn't? I mean, that's so cool. I love all that. And I think our listeners appreciate that too, because sometimes it's nice to have ideas of kind of how to use plants in interesting ways. So this is perfect. So this fall and winter, that's a good style. Get some packets, look towards the weather, sprinkle them out before rain.
Yes, yeah, and so you want to look for a good period of time where there's going to be not just one big day of rain. You want like 3 or 4 days where it's been raining for a little bit, right? Because that first big rain, usually the soil is pretty dry. And it's almost hydrophobic. Yeah, it just when you're watering a houseplant that hasn't been watered in a long time, and it just goes right through the bottom, right? So you want to wait until it's been raining a little bit to put that seed down. If you are sort of new to growing natives, it can be very exciting to get into this, and there's a lot of fun social media campaigns to kill your lawn and start a wild meadow, and that's awesome. However, it's a big commitment, and I would say start small. Pick a small area of your yard to try, or if you don't have a yard, pick up some nice pots and seed.
Will they do okay in containers?
Yeah, as long as they're have some depth to them. Most of these will do just fine in containers. So you don't want to do like a
tiny little
pot. You want to have room for that taproot we were just talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense, because tapping into some water and being able a little bit more drought tolerant.
Exactly. Yeah. So start small, and then just let your curiosity lead, right? Especially if you plant the mix, you don't know exactly which plants are going to come up. So it's fun to try and identify which seedlings are sprouting and watch them kind of grow into the mature plants. So yeah, like lead with your curiosity. And then if you're also just, you really just want some gorgeous plants, then start with the easy ones. So I'd say the easiest ones to grow are the poppies, right? That's a really, really simple.
You guys had the Mexican poppies out there that one year, and you said they were actually our California native.
Yeah, but
they were beautiful.
Yes, yeah. So there's many different species of poppies. So we have, the California poppy. We have the coastal poppy, which is a variety that grows closer to the coast. Mexican poppy, which is California native, but it grows down south. And then we have the foothills yellow poppy, which is really beautiful. Seeds are a great place to start. And it's going to be a year-long journey. So if you plant it now, you'll start to see some sprouts in the spring, and then you'll hopefully get lots of spring and summer color, and then even some cool plants that bloom in the fall and the winter too. So, just start now and see where it takes you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Julia Michaels of Hedgerow Farms. Check her out. What's your guys' Instagram handle?
It's just hedgerow_farms, and hedgerow is spelled HEDGEROW.
Thank you so much for making time for us.
Of course.
And best wishes on this year's harvest. and congrats on the expansion to your family.
Thank
That
you
is so exciting.
much. Yeah, we'll have to have you guys out again soon.
All right, we're back from our interview. Big thank you to Julia. Such a pleasure to see you again. And Kevin, I know you had a blast catching up with Julia and learning all about this. What did you think?
She is so bright and wonderful. Her child is gorgeous. I loved it. It was pretty cool interviewing two people at once. Right when we started, I asked her the first question, and the baby, she brings the baby in. Baby's against her chest. She's holding baby. And I'm like, all right, let's start. We're rolling. Austin's like, we're rolling. I asked my first question, and just as Dr. Julia goes to give her first answer, like the vibrations of her voice just wake the baby up. Baby starts crying, and I'm thinking, this is going to be a long and difficult interview. No, but she calmed the baby within a moment, and then we spoke for an hour. Had a great interview. The baby didn't wake back up.
She used her mom powers. I don't know how she did that.
Dude.
She was soothing the baby and giving us all this great stuff at the same time. And we were able to perfectly edit out any of that little mishap, you know, but it was perfectly fine. So, yeah, big kudos to Julia.
No, beautiful little sprout she's got there. And I think it's going to be great for her. But so rad. I love learning from her. She's like I said, she has so much experience actually doing what she's talking about. She's not just like, oh, I'm in love with this and this is something I'm into. No, this is like her life. When they started producing the seed packets, I mean, she mentioned it. I mean, she had to literally fulfill the orders in her living room packing seed packets. But now that problem's been solved. But she is as dedicated as they come. And I think we need more people out there, that mindset, hey, it's like we have this beautiful environment. There are some areas that maybe need some reforestation, a little bit of restoration, and that's going to take native seed. And so to have people like her and her team out there, incredible work they're doing. And so I can't wait. They are going to be growing a greener, brighter future, and it all starts with wonderful native seeds. And so the fact that we can get our hands on it now, that's pretty cool, because you always see that in the forums. There's a lot of people that are super passionate about native plants. And I think growing native plants and incorporating them into your landscapes at home, it's kind of like how organic gardening was a while back, where it was just this new thing. Everyone's like, "Well, this is kind of new." That's where native plants are at. I feel like that's going to be the thing. Like, hey, every garden should have a space for them. We've heard some great quotes about, it's like if you can just incorporate even just one native plant into your landscape right now, that's the start of something great, and you can actually make a difference. All of us can make a positive impact if we can just find some space in our landscapes and our gardens for these beautiful natives, because they do so much for us, and I love it.
All right. Well, that's all for this week. Kevin, go ahead and take us out.
All right, folks, prepare those sites, get those native seeds in, and they will reward you with a beautiful spring of color. I hope you all have a great week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week for just another great episode. So I wish you all the very best, and please tune in next week for some more garden fun. Until then, happy gardening to you all, and please never stop growing! Woo! Native seeds.
There we go.